When the Loons clinched, they had to get on the bus, drive through the night, about a 9-hour trip to get up to Midland and play the following night against West Michigan. And I remember thinking, this is a team that has just won a playoff series after being left for dead as a playoff contender less than a month ago. I expected it to be a very celebratory atmosphere on the bus ride back, but maybe it was because of the sheer length of the trip. It was really an understated celebration, I think, to say the least. Very muted. Guys were happy, but I remember thinking that it was a good omen for the upcoming series against West Michigan. This was a team that felt good that they had won a game, won a playoff series, but was already dialed in and getting ready for the next test against West Michigan. The series opener against West Michigan, again, nothing really came easy in that game. The Loons were down 1-0 for a good stretch of that game, in fact, going into the 7th inning. And that's when the Loons finally made their move on that game. I'll never forget Sage Janko's at-bat in the 7th inning. The bases were loaded. There were 2 outs, and again, the Loons were down 1-0.
This may be, to this point in the season, one of the biggest spots of the year for a Loons batter. Bases loaded, 2 outs in a tie ball game, bottom 7. Full count. Here's the payoff pitch. Janko lines the ball up the middle. It's down for a base hit. Landon scores from third. Henson in from second. 2 RBI single. Loons with a 3-1 lead in the 7th.
The sound from the seating bowl on that base hit was unlike anything I've ever heard. It was just a wave that just crashed over you when you heard it and when you saw what was happening on the field. And it gave me chills when it happened live. And my broadcast partner, Brad Tunney, was on the call in that moment. And in retrospect, I was almost thankful for that because I could truly just observe that moment as it happened and not have to worry about describing the play-by-play. I could truly just, from a sensory standpoint, just feel that moment.
Spitzbarth always talks about really enjoying pitching in high-pressure situations and likes earning the saves. This is a big spot here.
The 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. He struck him out, and the Loons win Game 1.
Although the Loons had to just win 1 of 2 on the road against West Michigan, it was a very daunting task. West Michigan, again, the defending Midwest League champions. As a team, they were playing with a lot of confidence because they had won the regular season series against the Loons. And furthermore, West Michigan had been almost unbeatable at home as far as baseball win-loss records are concerned. No, it's not like they were close to being undefeated or anything like that, but West Michigan's home record was vastly superior to their record on the road. So the Loons were going to have to come up with some big plays in order to just take 1 of 2 off West Michigan. Game 3 against West Michigan to determine who from the Eastern Division moved on to the Midwest League Championship Series was intense, to say the least. And in part because West Michigan had this guy starting, his name was Kyle Dowdy, and he was shoving through the better part of his start. He went 6 1/3. He retired 16 of the first 17 guys he faced, and the Loons didn't have a hit until the 6th inning. And it got to the point where the Loons just had nothing going on offense, and it was 1-2-3, 1-2-3, and you began to ask yourself, are they pressing, maybe even panicking a little bit? And West Michigan was not known for being an offensive juggernaut, but they had picked up 2 runs in the 4th inning against Yadier Alvarez and led by that score going later into the ballgame. And although West Michigan didn't have the bats to really blow you out of the water, you didn't want to face their bullpen down late in a game because their bullpen was really, really strong. And given the excellent outing they had received from their starter, we were looking at each other thinking, are the Loons going to be able to generate enough offense to even erase a 2-0 deficit?
Elimination game on the road, behind. Again, you could say, all right, another chance to say, as a player, you could say, I'm ready to be home. It's been a long season. We've come a long way, but this is probably it.
Being somewhat disconnected from the team and the environment as a whole was a different feel than what it had been for the start of the playoffs with those 2 games here at Dow Diamond. And you wanted to be a part of it so bad, and for me at least, you just wanted them to get back to Dow Diamond to make sure that, selfishly, I could see another game and that they would also move on to the next round. So that was high tension, sitting by myself in the studio to make sure they kept winning.
It all happened so fast. The Loons are down 2-1 to start the 8th inning. You're thinking, oh, can they get a guy on, extend the inning, make West Michigan's bullpen work? And suddenly it was Brendan Davis leadoff single, and then Omar Estevez launches a line drive home run over the left field wall.
The 0-1. Hammered out to left field, pretty deep. Gibson is back. He's at the track. Gone! A 2-run home run for Omar Estevez, and the Loons grab the lead in the 8th inning.
And you barely have time to even think or react. All of a sudden, the Loons are ahead 3-2, and suddenly now you realize it is very late in this ball game, and the Loons are very, very close to clinching the Eastern Division Championship.
Again, Estevez, just a young kid that you knew you had a lot of talent, but then the big moments that he came up in really surprised me. And you think back on moments of the season, you think about his grand slam on August 11th, and specifically that home run in West Michigan. And again, you almost knew something special was happening with this team.
You know, I think luckily my neighbors don't live too close, because I was jumping up and down in my living room and just living and dying with everything. And that was just such a fun way when he hit that home run to say, okay, we got this, we're going on.
The timeliness of it all and what it meant for Omar as an individual and as the Loons to have come so far over the course of that season, it was just a spectacular moment.
From the stretch, the 0-2 pitch. Fly ball, playable to the right side of the diamond. Matt Jones, the first baseman, has got it. And the Loons, for the first time in franchise history, are going to the Midwest League Championship.
But anyway, another moment where, again, winning against a good team on the road, it's just, again, it was really exciting, and you thought the team was poised to keep winning.
It's interesting to me that the Loons, again, never had home field advantage in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, because they always had the worst regular season record in either the case against Bowling Green or in the Eastern Division Championship Series against West Michigan. But somehow it still seemed to benefit the Loons, because in a best-of-3 series, the Loons had the first game at home at Dow Diamond. And I think getting the chance to start each of the first 2 playoff series at Dow Diamond was huge, because the Loons had played so well at Dow Diamond in the second half of the season in particular, and that carried right over into the playoffs as well. And so for the Loons to be able to take a 1-0 lead in both of those first 2 series by playing at home, and then know you just have to go on the road and win 1 of 2, I think that was huge for the Loons really getting the ball rolling and establishing their momentum postseason.
After the emotional high of a series win the night before, Clinton was rested. They had won their series a day or so before, so they were just waiting at home for a road-weary team to come in, and that showed up in that first game.